Hi, my name is Saral Insan, and today we'll be talking about what are constellations and zodiac signs. So, what are constellations? Constellation is an area on the celestial sphere in which a group of visible stars forms a perceived outline or pattern, typically representing an animal, mythological person or creature, or even an inanimate object. So, a constellation is when stars are aligned together or form a certain pattern which might resemble something as an animal, a mythological person such as mermaids, or even inanimate objects. So constellations are formed of bright stars which appear close to each other on the skies. So just as I said, constellations are formed of stars. They are made of stars. They are formed when we connect stars together. So if you were aim to a camera straight up and set it to record starlight on a single image all night long as the earth spins, the image would show a circular star streaks. So if you were in the North Pole and you stand right at the center and point your camera directly to the sky and leave it there overnight to shoot a video, you will see in the video how the stars form a circular streak. And this will be the basis for constellations. But before that, a circular star streak is when stars form. It is like an orbit or a ring that passes through a star. So in the northern hemisphere, the star Polaris, positioned directly above the North Pole, would lie closest to the center of the star streak circles. So we refer to Polaris as the North Star. So Polaris is what we call the North Star, and this is because in the circular star streak, it is the one closest to the center. So that is why it is what we base off a circular star streak. So depending on where you are, the North Star and other stars placement and arrangement will look different. So of course, everything will look different. So if you are placed whether on the equator or in the North Pole, even if you are just slightly in off placement from the center, the arrangement or the pattern of the stars will certainly look different. So here we have a picture or pictures that shows the circular star streaks. So if you were to view the constellations from the 35 degrees in the north, you would see something like this. But if you were to view it from the Arctic Circle at about 66 and 5 degrees north, you would see something more like this. But if you are in the equator, you will see something like this one. So what are zodiac signs? So zodiac signs, ancient observers in many cultures found that if they wished to identify specific locations in the night sky, it helped to group stars into recognizable patterns or arrangement, which came to be known as constellations. So back in the ancient times, so before technology, I guess, so people who wants to travel uses the stars as a guide or a navigation map such as Google, but they didn't have Google back then, so they used the stars which are called constellations. So they will look for certain patterns in order for them to be guided to their destination. So these patterns were typically named after animals, warriors, or mythical beings. Each culture come up with its own set of constellations. Greek constellations are not the same as Chinese constellations. So this is emphasizing that constellations are entirely a human inventions. So these patterns, because they sometimes resemble something like an animal or mythological beings, so they were obviously named after them. So from each culture, each tribes, so they may differ. They have different terms and names for these constellations, such as the Greek constellations differ from the Chinese constellations. So this proves that constellations are not something that is naturally created but a human invention. So there are a total of 12 constellations that lie along the elliptic plane constitute the zodiac. So there are a total of 12 constellations which are called zodiac. So the times and locations at which specific constellations appear at the horizon after sunset provide a useful basis for navigation and calendars. So just like I said before, back in the time, or even up till now, people sometimes uses the constellation as a guide or a navigation map. And most of us probably already know this, or most of us have this, but when we see calendars in our houses or other people or other places houses, so we can literally see zodiac signs in them, such as rabbits, horses, or other things. So some people imagine that the position of constellations and planets influence human behavior and fate, and it can determine good luck or bad luck. These premises underlies astrology, not astronomy. The premises of astrology have never been justified by any scientific test and cannot be considered to be science. So I know that we know people who believes in this kind of stuff. I guess they are fortune telling, but I personally do not believe in this, because they generalize people into something and make sure that, and they strongly believe that people are only what they said they are to be. So we know that in a calendar there are 12 months, and each month is characterized or is assigned a certain zodiac sign or an animal. But so they characterize these people or generalizes them into a certain characteristics and strongly believe that all the people in them are only capable of what they say. So this makes it unbelievable for me, and this also is not backed up by any scientific testing or any scientific backing. So this is what we call astrology, not astronomy, because astronomy is different from astrology because it has scientific backing. So here, so there are 12 zodiac signs in the Chinese constellations. So there is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Thank you.